Yes, we are now live. We're back sa atin pong afternoon session ng Division Basic Education Research Conference 2021. And we have 19 participants po. Siguro katatapos lang mag-lunch ng iba. Hintayin lang po natin sila. And if please din po, do the honors of sharing na rin yung ating pong link sa ating mga co-teachers din po and sa ating mga school group chats para maka-access na rin po yung ating mga teachers din po for our session in the afternoon. Naging 8 na lang. So, mag-check po tayo ng attendance while waiting for the others. Good afternoon po. Yeah. Okay, so magkuhan pa ako dito. Ang ating early bird po for this afternoon is no less than Ma'am Jonaline Martin of anong school na ni Ma'am? Sinsayon Elementary School. Good afternoon, Ma'am. We have one of the technical working group members, Ma'am Lailani Magaliano of Balinto Catholic Integrated School, one of our master teachers joining us today at this afternoon. Hello, sir. Hello, Ma'am. And of course, one of the active school heads in research, Ma'am Hilda Mariano. Good afternoon, Ma'am. We also have Ma'am Jocelyn Padolina from Rosario Elementary School. And kanina na-miss po natin si Ma'am Janet. Yung message ni Ma'am kanina, puno po kasi hindi makapasok si Ma'am. But anyways, I know na very, very supportive. At saka sa closing program, hindi pwedeng hindi mag-talk si Ma'am. Na-miss na natin siya nung opening eh. So, si Ma'am Chief. Kaya talagang sa closing program, hindi pwedeng hindi mag-talk si Ma'am Janet. And si Ma'am Janet, very supportive. Thank you, Ma'am Ja. Si Ma'am Brenda, ang ating coordinator in the East Cluster of Schools. Hi, Ma'am. Sir Mar ng City High, Ma'am Marlene Borja. Even our technical working group, they are very supportive. Nakatutok pa rin po sila sa YouTube channel ng ating pong DBERC 2021, virtual DBERC. And of course, isa rin sa mga active na ating school head in terms of research, Ma'am Rose Lily Esteban, Ma'am ng Luna Elementary School. I was there last March ata yun. I was invited as a speaker. And then Ma'am Ruby, si Ma'am Ruby, present ito ng lahat, hindi, Burp 5, 6, and Burp 7. Present na naman si Ma'am. At never pang naging absent yan. So dire-diretso na yan si Ma'am Ruby. And she is even a presenter sa Regional Basic Education Research Conference. Virtual din po siya last year. Congratulations, Ma'am Ruby, and of course, Kabulay High School. And the coordinator ng ating pong South Cluster, kung kailangan niyo po ng technical assistance in terms of action research, mga teachers po natin and non-teaching staff. Sa South Cluster, we have Sir Loreto Cudala po. Magandang hapon, sir. Ma'am Leslie Dizon ng Ang Butihing May Bahay ata ni Sir Dizon. Ma'am Rosie, Ma'am Joanna Marie Goliaga ng Dubinan Elementary at sa lahat po ng faculty and staff. Kindly share na rin po itong link natin sa kanila. Sir Allen Manuel ng Santa Rosa Elementary School. Thank you po for tuning in. Of course, si Ma'am Romaline Batad, present pa rin. Present pa rin. And si Ma'am Cherry Joy Montemayor, ang aking, bakit hindi mo gamit yung name, surname ng iyong lakay? Ang aking classmate ng high school, Ma'am Cherry ng Patol National High School. Completer na rin siya no Ma'am Mabic. Tama po. Si Ma'am Cherry Joy. Oh yeah, yes, completer na po ata. Yan, nag-reply na si Ma'am Janet. Thank you Ma'am Ja. Sorry po kanina. And Ma'am Marilu Sagaysay, Ma'am Ivy Falguera, dami from Patol National High School. Actually, isa sa mga pinakamadaming participants natin ngayon na high school and school ay ang Patol National High School. Over 15 po sila na participants na nag-register. And congratulations sa school head. Even the school head has her own basic research na inilaban po natin sa regional. For completion na si Ma'am Rubilin Castro ng Patol National High School. Very, very commendable po. Magwa 100% na po ata lahat ng mga teachers doon in terms of research. Inspiring talaga. Ma'am Virginia Ichon, syempre ng Patol National High School. Hello ma'am. Ma'am Marilu Buizon, isa sa mga one of the school heads. Tatlo lang sila na sumali ng Regional Basic Education Research Conference. Last year, our DBERC 6, Ma'am Chitrebuka, Ma'am Marilu Buizon, and sino na yung isa? Nakalimutan ko na. Kasi Ma'am Rubilin Castro, yun pala, sinabi ko. Yan. So while waiting from them, sige, bati lang po muna ako para manote po yung mga present na. Ma'am Iberil from Sagana Elementary School, hello po. Oh, nagbabalik ang Sir JR Mabalot. Ito po yung mga unang batch 4, master teacher na po ngayon, ang Sir JR Mabalot. Congratulations, sir. From Divisoria Elementary School, kanilang research coordinator din. And of course, si Ma'am Elizabeth Mamaklay. Ito, batch 4 din ito. Mga nauna sa research, Ma'am Elizabeth Mamaklay ng Caloocan Elementary School. Very active at napakagaling mag-present po ng research. Ma'am Ruby Lulukisen, kahit na hindi ata birth yung research niya, pero nakatapos ang Ma'am Ruby. Congratulations po from Patol Elementary School. Dahil Patol, mapa-elementary tsaka high school. Sa Sir Macberlanu, good afternoon po, Ma'am Elma, sino na yun? Hindi ko nang malampasan. Urbino, Ma'am Cherry Navarro from Balintocatok Integrated, nang galing po ako dyan nag-share last time. Ma'am Marjorie Ingaran ng Patol. Patol na naman. How about the other schools? Good PM, Sagana. Yan. Si Ma'am Lailani, present pa rin, Balintocatok Integrated. San Jose. Parang si Sir Macbar pa lang nakita kong San Jose. Ma'am Melody, ang ating isa sa mga top 3 ka ba Ma'am Melody? Yeah, top 3 sa Regional Basic Education Research Conference batch 5. So top 3 po siya regional sa Action Research Proposal. Congratulations, and technical working group na rin po natin siya. And my classmate sa college, si Ma'am Naomi Ruth Merculio. Batch 5 po si Ma'am Naomi, nakakomplete na rin po siya. Yan. At isa na rin siya sa mga technical working group po natin, members ng RTW, ay ng BTWG. Ma'am Mary Ruth ng Patol. Dahil Patol. Ma'am Michelle De Guzman ng Santiago West. Hello ma'am. Ma'am Marites Kudala, ang butihing may bahay ni Sir Loreto. Hello ma'am. Nakatapos na rin yan si ma'am. Ma'am Mary Jane Santos, nabasa ko din yung kanyang research. And of course, my teacher, Amape, nung high school, Sir Aurelio Nicolas, our advisor sa dance group and teacher ko po ng MAPE nung high school. Yan yung pa magkwento kasi wala pa po yung iba. We're waiting for 100 or so na participants po and then we'll start na po. And of course, patol na naman. From Ma'am Edita Blas from Villa Gonzaga Elementary School. Yan, very active din po. Actually, ang dami pong mga innovation na pinasainan ng school ni Ma'am Edita. Natapos na isauli ko na rin po yung mga proposal. Hopefully, makatapos din sila. And of course, congratulations sa school head po na in charge sa Santiago West Central School at Santiago West Cluster dahil ang Santiago West Cluster po ang may pinakamaraming participant so far sa elementary na mga teachers. Congratulations. Ewan ko, baka may award sila later sa closing program. Pero hindi pa naman po too late. Na-announce lang po namin. We have Sir Carlo Sanglay ng BIS, Balintokatok Integrated. Ma'am Ruby Mangabat. Good afternoon po. Ma'am Rona Macadenden from Rosario. Uy, may Rosario National High School na. Then kindly share pa rin po yung link sa ating mga teachers so that we can start na po. And sayang naman kung hindi po ninyo maabutan yung discussion ni Ma'am Mari Bichalok because this is very, very important. Yung susunod po na topic po natin, aside from the context and rationale, plus yung research question, they are important. Pero isa po sa mga core at puso ng action research po ay yung ating mga innovation, intervention materials na gagamitin. Because kung sisilipin po ninyo, nabasa nyo na yung diniscuss ko kanina na Research Management Guidelines by DepEd Order 16/2017, 30 points po ang binibigay na allocate na puntos para sa innovation. Ito po ang pinakamabigat sa lahat po ng parts ng action research. That's why this is very, very important. Kaya if you have time, kindly kulitize your follow up yung mga participants po ng schools ninyo para po pumunta na po sa ating YouTube at take note na po tayo ng discussion ng ating susunod na speaker. Kasi sayang po. Ma'am Cyclona Villanoza, Ma'am Carmiel Mojera ng Dubinan Elementary School at sa faculty and staff ng Dubinan Elementary School, of course, their school head, si Ma'am, ang pangalan na ni Ma'am, nakalimutan ko pa. Good afternoon po, Sir Rolando Marzan, Sir Roel Ala, hindi ko alam yung school ni Sir. Ma'am Junalyn Manzano ng Santa Rosa. Ayun, may kasama na si Sir. Ma'am Jacqueline Diaz, of course, ng Rosario National High School. Hi, ma'am. And the faculty. And Ma'am Mawirat of Rosario National High School. May mga schools pa po na hindi represented. So sad. Sir Jeffrey Gabriel ng Kabulay. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Ma'am Clarissa Suliben, na nakatapos ng kanyang research. Actually, nandito na yung kanyang hardbound na paper for for signature na, and yung kanyang innovation ay na-release na rin po. Yung completed na innovation. Congratulations, ma'am. At last, hopefully mas marami pa pong dumami pa rin po yung mga teachers from Divisoria High School na mag-conduct ng research. Hindi lang po yung mga batch 4, 5, and 6. Through the guidance, of course, ng ating able na head teacher po si Ma'am Clarissa. So, tama po ba ako, Ma'am Clarissa, head teacher? Ma'am Rosalinda Mabalot. And of course, si Ma'am Clarissa. Yan. Dami ko nang nasabi. We are now 105. We're expecting 120 something na mga participants. Pero sige, allow me to introduce, of course, our very competent, intelligent resource speaker po, who will be discussing the importance of the innovation and the tenets or the things that we should remember, do, and note, especially in crafting our intervention material. Kilalang kilala ko po ang butihing teacher po na ito because she has been one of my advisors nung high school, and teacher ko po siya ng 3 years as English teacher. I was inspired by her uh, to be an English teacher din. Isa po siya sa mga naging inspirasyon ko sa pag-aaral ko nung high school. At napakagaling ng teacher namin na ito. Wala po akong masabi. Up until now, she's my idol in terms of speaking because alam Miriam Santiago si ma'am kapag pumapasok sa klase namin. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce to you our third, tama po ba ako, fourth speaker who will be discussing the importance of the intervention material in our action research. Let us welcome with loud virtual applause, Ma'am Maribik M. Halog, the research coordinator of the West Classroom Schools and a teacher 3 of Patul National High School. Hi, Ma'am Maribik.
Hello, Sir Marfield. Thank you very much. I was so touched with your kind introduction. Actually, you are the living legacy of my career as a teacher. Thank you so much for that, Sir Marfield. Halatado ng matanda na si Ma'am. Pero hindi. Okay.
Thank you, Ma'am Maribik. Sige po, sa inyo na po, Ma'am, ang screen.
Okay, so I'll be sharing now my presentation. May I know, Sir Marfield, if my presentation can now be seen?
Yes, ma'am. Pa-present na lang po, ma'am.
Right. So once again, great afternoon, everyone. So thank you so much for joining the afternoon session of this very important endeavor of the Schools Division of Santiago City. Preparing this part of the action research proposal creates innovative skills of the teacher researchers in crafting intervention materials aligned to the most essential learning competencies. Once crafted and validated, these intervention materials can be utilized as effective teaching strategies to improve or enhance the competencies that need to be mastered by the learners. So I hope that everybody is now working on this part of the action research proposal, since this has been the content of the in-service trainings that we've been attending, not just for this school year, but even in the previous years. So one of the thematic areas of the research agenda is teaching and learning. So this will be the focus of the theme that I'll be discussing to you when it comes to the crafting of innovation, intervention, and strategy. Why? It is for this reason that this kind of research, so I'm referring then to the action research proposal, which provides innovation, intervention, and strategy. So these are the sub-themes or categories under teaching and learning. So we have the instruction, curriculum, learners, assessment, and learning outcomes. So later, you will be identifying which will be the focus of the topic for your intervention. So will it be under instruction, curriculum, learners, assessment, or learning outcomes? So all of these sub-themes fall under one of the thematic areas of research agenda, which is teaching and learning. So in each sub-theme, there is a research question which will help you think later on the possible topics for the intervention that you will be crafting. First is instruction. So aligned with the basic education learning continuity plan and research management guideline, some topic that can be used in line with this modalities of learning stipulated or applied in your respective schools can be used then as intervention. So let us have this question under instruction. What teaching and learning strategies can teachers apply to ensure inclusive and learner-centered education? So based on this question, which will serve then as your basis for the relevant topic regarding the intervention that you will be crafting later, then it will provide you the modalities of learning that are stipulated in your school learning continuity plan. So we know that we are still in the new normal education, so it must be considered the learning modalities that we are using in our respective schools. So topics could be the teaching strategies aligned to the new normal education, which could be in an offline or offline modalities. So just to recall, the different modalities of learning, such as the modular distance learning, the online distance learning, once these two shall be combined, we are then applying blended distance learning as the learning modality in our respective school. So I know that you've been using different intervention materials in order to meet the needs of our learners in this pandemic situation that we are experiencing. Second sub-theme, we have this curriculum. So curriculum under teaching and learning could be one of the sub-themes to be used for basic research. So once it could be used then as an action research, this is the question that will be considered. How is the curriculum responsive and relevant to learners? So perhaps topics that are relevant to this could be the contextualized learning materials being used in order to address the needs of our learners. Contextualization, localization, indigenization could be the topics under curriculum, which is one of the sub-themes for teaching and learning. Third category, the learners. So they are the reasons why we are in this field of educational endeavor. So the question, what factors affect the learning behavior of the learners? Can you think of the possible interventions that can be applied in order to meet the most essential learning competencies stipulated in the school learning continuity plan? So again, the creativity of the teacher in applying the new normal strategies in teaching can be used under this sub-theme. Next, we also have assessment. So for an action research, classroom assessment can be used as relevant topic in this category for teaching and learning. So just to remember the question, which will serve then as your basis in crafting the kind of intervention materials to be used under this subcategory. How is assessment conducted and utilized in the new normal education? So we know in the first place that we are giving summative tests to our learners. So it could be a classroom assessment to be used then as an intervention material. It's just a way on how you're going to craft it using the guidelines to be discussed later. And the last, we have this, okay, learning outcomes. So under this sub-theme, the basis for the topic that you will be thinking later, what factors affect the achievement of learning outcomes? So in this question, the relevant topics applicable to this could be the available e-learning resources. So ICT in education could be the best intervention, okay, to be applied, since it is very much applicable then in the new setup that we are experiencing in today's educational system. Aside from the learning resources, what can be considered? We also have the learning environment, of course, because our learners are also suffering from the problems that the DepEd is experiencing. So I'm then referring not just to the modalities being applied then to our learners, but of course the preparation in doing all these things just to provide learners in this in this educational system with quality education. Okay, so with those sub-themes under teaching and learning, were you able to decide which shall be the focus of the topic that you will be crafting when it comes to the intervention materials that you need to address for the learners with least mastered competencies? Okay, so we have now the following guidelines in crafting or in writing innovation, intervention, and strategy. So the first guideline, the title or name of the intervention should be mentioned. So this is the first thing that must be considered by the teacher researcher. This intervention actually is the meat of the action research proposal. So when you are going to conduct an action research, the first thing that you have in mind is the provision of solution, or how are you going to provide solutions when it comes to the problems that you've encountered as a classroom teacher in this pandemic situation that we are experiencing. So think of the title of that intervention according to the subject that you are teaching. You may ask, Ma'am, could it be an acronym? Yes, because that is now the common way of crafting the intervention. If you try to browse examples of action researches, the intervention is actually in an acronym format, but be sure that it could still, okay, catch the attention of the reader. It is pleasing, okay, to the eyes of the reader, and it must promote positive connotation. Okay. Next, the rationale, extent, and limitation of the intervention, innovation, or strategy are explained in detail. So you try to recall the first part of our training earlier, that context and rationale. So that is the first part of the action research proposal. So in the intervention, it is also necessary to indicate the reason why this intervention is very much important when it comes to the needs of our learners in order to address these mastered competencies. What about this extent and limitation? What do we mean when we're going to include this in the intervention? So that extent could be based on the scalability and the replicability of the intervention materials to be crafted by the teacher researchers. And that limitation, it would be the scope itself. So will this be limited only to the learners of grade 10 in Patul National High School? Will this be limited only to one of the sections in grade 6 in one of the elementary schools in Santiago City? So it should be discussed clearly the reason, the extent, and limitation why this intervention is going to be implemented to the learners who have this list mastered competencies. The third guideline, there should be a detailed discussion of what, how, when, where, and who of the intervention, action, or solution. So in other words, this would answer the 5 W's. Okay, so we have that what is your intervention all about? How are you going to conduct it? When will it be implemented? Where are you going to conduct this intervention? And who are the recipients or the participants of your study? So it should be clearly answered the following questions. Next, the fourth guidelines, we have this. Discuss the possibility of the intervention on how it can or it may address the problem. So that is now the reason why teachers are conducting an action research. So it depends now on the intervention materials being crafted. Since the goal of an action research is to promote the intervention materials prepared by the teacher researchers in order to improve the teaching learning process. Lastly, if there are related studies and legal basis that would support the intervention, place it in a brief paragraph. There should always be legal basis why this intervention is going to be used in addressing the problems encountered by the teacher researcher. Related studies and legal basis will give the reader the reason why this intervention is very important. And of course, I'll be presenting to you 2 examples of innovation, intervention, and strategy. One is completed intervention. Okay, so these are crafted by the researchers of SDO Santiago City using the guidelines that I have just discussed. Let's have this. Okay, so innovation, intervention, and strategy. So this is the title on this part of research for a completed action research. So let us see if those guidelines were incorporated using the examples that I'll be showing to you. Okay, so let us have this. So the one that is highlighted, that is the intervention, okay, used by the teacher researcher. So according to BAGAT 2020, the intervention project fleet. So this fleet, this is an acronym which stands for fun learning through invigorating practices. So this is one of the guidelines being mentioned earlier, that in crafting the title of the intervention, it should be aligned to the subject being taught by the teacher researcher. Okay, and then the last sentence in this paragraph will provide then the reason, the rationale why this intervention was then used by the teacher researcher in order to address the problems that she encountered in her class. The continuation. Okay, so again, the highlighted phrases here, this will provide the guidelines on the use of related literature, legal basis. So this is very important to cite whenever you are writing this part of your action research proposal. And the last part, if you recall the guideline, one of the guidelines, so it was stated there the process on how the intervention was conducted. So since this is a completed, okay, action research, so this is not a an action research proposal. So the verb, of course, must be in past tense. That's why I am showing you one example for a completed action research, and then later a proposed innovation, intervention, and strategy in this action research that I'm discussing with you. Okay, so I will not be reading the content anymore. So I'll just be saying that the highlighted phrase here will explain the in-depth process on how the intervention was then conducted by the teacher researcher. And of course, the timeline. So this is another guideline that should be remembered. The questions, when and where will it be conducted? So it was clearly stated here that the said innovation took place on January 2020. Okay, so this is an example of an innovation, intervention, and strategy crafted by the teacher researcher, Ma'am Florence, okay, Bagat of Patong National High School. Now, I'll be showing you also an example of proposed innovation, intervention, and strategy. So this one is from, okay, Ma'am Dorol. So according to a proposed intervention by Dorol 2021, okay, so the word playing. So it's not just a simple word that is just an acronym being used then by the teacher researcher in order to use it as an intervention to home to the learners with intellectual disability of Santiago North Central School SPED Center. Okay, so the title of the intervention, of the proposed intervention, was then mentioned in this paragraph, and it also answered the question, who are the beneficiaries or the participants of this study, who will be the recipients of the intervention that she crafted, which is playing. And that playing stands for progressive learning acquisition and yielding self-help skills through interactive games. And it was, okay, clearly stated there the school where the said intervention shall be conducted, and that is Santiago North Central School SPED Center. Continuation for this example of proposed innovation. So this one, so it is very evident to the present educational system that we have, since it was mentioned here, the learning modality that the school has then applied. Okay, and then if you notice, the last part of this paragraph will provide the rationale, the reason why the intervention was then conducted. Okay, so continuation, we are in the new normal. Therefore, the IATF guidelines shall be observed in conducting the said intervention. And it also followed one of the guidelines when it comes to the process on how this innovation will be conducted. So she also used rubrics to gauge the learning gained by the learner. So there is a monitoring tool to be used, and that is a weekly monitoring tool as to the progress of their child or possible adjustments in the timeline. So these examples will give you the hints in order to craft your intervention materials. Especially, you are going to propose an intervention later. So you have to think now which of the subtopics under teaching and learning as one of the thematic areas of research agenda will you be applying. Okay? So you have to remember that whenever you are going to craft an intervention, it explains then how it addresses the problems or issues. The reason why teachers are conducting action research is that you would like to provide immediate solutions to the problems that you've encountered. So there are many problems actually in this present educational system, but I know that teachers are always equipped with technical know-how in order to provide solutions to this. And the creativity of the teacher to craft an intervention will somehow address the problems being encountered in the classroom, set up, whether that is via online or the social media classrooms being used then by the teacher in order to reach the learners. And these learners must be identified, of course, according to their learning needs. That is the first thing that a teacher must consider. Okay? And another thing is that this intervention should present how the process shall be conducted. So I'll be giving you the summary writing on how this intervention, on how this innovation, intervention, and strategy shall be put into writing. Okay, first, introduce your proposed innovation, intervention, and strategy by citing similar researches to the proposed intervention. So this could be written in 1 or 2 paragraphs. 1 to 2 paragraphs, can do. Okay, so this similar researchers could be the related studies that will somehow help you in accomplishing this part of the action research proposal. Next, you need to discuss the advantages and disadvantages of the cited intervention and its results of implementation. So, on the other hand, a teacher may not just craft an intervention right away. You need to read related studies and literature, even legal basis that will help you in crafting your intervention materials. We should not forget that we are doing this action research for the benefits of our learners. Therefore, these intervention materials must also have the basis why this would provide solutions to the problems being encountered by the teacher in the new normal education that we are experiencing. Okay, present and describe your proposed intervention, one paragraph can do, and then the last, discuss and elaborate the steps of the proposed intervention, 2 to 3 paragraphs. Anyway, this could just be a suggestion on how you are going to complete this part of your action research proposal, which is the proposed innovation, intervention, and strategy. You are still the captain of the materials that you will be writing for the sake of your learners. Therefore, I will be giving that as a trust and confidence on your part as teacher researchers, since you know better the kind of learners that you are handling. You know the reasons why these learners are experiencing problems in this pandemic situation, aligned with the modalities of learning that the school is applying to these learners. So I would like to end this topic of mine with the acronym of my name. So let us make an action research as instructional voice in improving competencies. So everybody is very much welcome to conduct an action research, since this is now the new normal setup that the Department of Education is experiencing, and therefore the craftsmanship of the teachers in providing intervention materials will help our learners to improve or enhance the competencies that they should master. Okay, so with that, thank you very much. I hope I was able to share with you tips on how to craft this part of the action research proposal. So the questions will be entertained as I stop sharing this presentation of mine. Once again, good afternoon, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Marivic, for that very comprehensive discussion of the intervention, the innovation intervention and strategies that should be applied in action research. At this juncture po, if you have question po or queries regarding po sa presentation ni Ma'am Marivic, this is the time po for you to write your questions on the comment section po in our YouTube channel. At so far, what I see, Ma'am Maribek, ay mga words of appreciation coming from our participants. Congratulations, Ma'am Mabik. Thanks, Ma'am Mabik, from Sir J.R. Mabalot, ang kabatch mo, Ma'am, sa batch 4. And of course, we have your school head, si Ma'am Rubeline Castro. Congratulating you, Ma'am Mabik, for a job well done, especially in sharing your expertise on crafting the intervention, innovation, and strategies for the action research. And so let's wait Baka merong gustong magtanong. Hinihintay lang po natin. I think it's clear, Ma'am Mavic. Wala na pong mga tanong. From Rubilo Luquisan. Thank you so much, Ma'am Marivic, for a very comprehensive, informative learning you have shared with us. Congratulations po. So, hindi naman siya tanong, mga commentations na ito. So, while waiting for some questions, siguro, coming from our participants, allow me to present this certificate to our very able, competent, and intelligent speaker po this afternoon. So, SEO Santiago City awards this certificate of appreciation to, yuso ko lang po ito, Ma'am Marivic M. Halog for her invaluable services rendered as research speaker on the topic Innovation, Intervention, and Strategies in Action Research during the conduct of the Division Basic Education Research Conference or DBERC 2021, given this 26th day of April 2021 that the Schools Division of Santiago City signed on Cherry S. Ramos, EDD, CESO 5, Schools Division Superintendent. Medyo nag-level up po mula kanina kasi inayos-ayos ko lang po yung ating certificate. Pwede na pong screenshot, Ma'am Mavic. Okay, and again, congratulations po, Ma'am Marivic, for sharing your time with us. Yan. So,
Sir,
I think
thank you so much.
Ma'am, I think wala na pong tanong. Mga commentations na lang po ito para kay Ma'am Marivic. Again, thank you very much po, Ma'am Marivic, on behalf of our Schools Division Superintendent and of course our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Jonathan A. Fronda, our chairperson in the Division Research Technical Working Group and the Schools Division Research Committee. We would like to express our sincerest appreciation and gratitude for your sharing of your expertise, ma'am, to our participants in the DBERC 2021. Again, congratulations, Ma'am Marivic.
Thank you, Sir Mark. Thank you po.
Okay, so we're done with the innovation, intervention, and strategies. I hope it's clear for us how to craft yung intervention material po na gagamitin po natin to address yung problem natin na na-identify natin sa most essential learning competencies. Okay, so again, thank you, Ma'am Marivic. At this juncture, one of the competent, intelligent, and really a hardworking member of the Division Research Technical Working Group and the coordinator of the East Cluster of Schools in terms of research will be discussing the fifth topic for this day, which is focus on the methodologies of action research. I am referring to no less than our Research Technical Working Group, the Teacher 3 of Cabulay High School, Dr. Brenda Niebres. Ma'am Brent, good afternoon po.
Hello sir, good afternoon po. Maraming salamat for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge on methodology po.
Yes,
So, isang ligtas at mapagpalang hapon sa ating lahat.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so I'm now going to give the screen to Ma'am Brenda for her discussion on the said topic. Ma'am Brenda, pwede ka na pong mag-present.
Sharing, sir.
Sige po.
Kita na screen ko, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Wait lang po. I-share ko. Yan. Medyo mabagal-bagal lang, ma'am. Hintayin lang natin, ma'am.
Okay na po. So, muli po, Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Ako po ay nagagalak na makasama ko kayo ngayong hapon sa mundo ng research. I was tasked to discuss with you the data gathering methods, pero focus lang po tayo sa action research po. Kung ano yung mga kailangan natin sa action research in preparing our action research proposal. So muli, I am Brenda D. Niebres of Cabulay High School. So I just want to start our session by taking the words of a great German American social psychologist po. Once he said, no research without action, no action without research. So if we want action, we have to research. If we want research, we need to act. Okay po? So hindi po tayo talaga matutulog. Ang sabi kanina ng mga previous speakers na natin, bakit kailangan pa nating mag-research? Pandemya naman. Ito nga yung mas kailangan natin ngayon ng mga research. Why? Because we are creating new teaching strategies, teaching techniques, or iba't iba pang mga paraan ng pag-aaral para ituloy natin yung pag-aaral na kahit meron tayong ganitong sitwasyon. Okay po? So let's move. The objectives of this session. The participants are expected to explain data collection and instrumentations, determine appropriate research design, data collection and research ethics procedures, and apply the knowledge and skills in preparing the action research proposal. So inaasahan po na pagkatapos ng session na ito ay nagkaroon po tayo ng kaalaman o sapat na kakayahan para po maihanda natin at maisubmit yung mga action research proposals po natin. Yung iba, meron na pong mga naisulat. Pwede po nating i-refine based po doon sa ating mga naging discussion na po mula pa kay Ma'am Joy kanina hanggang sa ngayon at sa masusunod pang mga speakers. Okay po? So as presented by Ma'am Joy, action research method is the part 4 of your action research proposal. So there are 3 parts of this. So we have the participants and or other sources of data and information, data gathering methods, and we have the data analysis plan. Right, so let us review the action research. What is action research? Okay, as mentioned by Sir Marfield, that this is this will be conducted by 1 or more individuals. In depth ed, a maximum of 3 in a group for the purpose of solving a problem. So we have to identify a problem as presented by Ma'am Mavic a while back, that we have to identify a problem, then what will be a solution for that problem. So be reminded that in action research, action for the improvement of practice and service delivery. Okay, so what does action research tell you? So first, it is solution-driven. That is why from the beginning, we are telling you that we have to identify a problem, a classroom problem. Be specific in identifying a certain problem. Okay? Then rather than testing theories, because we are just want to give a solution to a certain problem. Then the objective of the action research is to improve the learning of our learners, their learning experiences. And the third is direct and obvious relevance to improving practice and advocating for change. So we want change. We want to improve our practices, especially for these days that we are not or we cannot conduct the face-to-face. What shall we do? We need to create new things. We need to innovate for us to continue education, for us to continue the delivery of learning for our learners. Okay. So next, what is research design? Okay, bear in mind that research design is the overall strategy. So what will we do from the start until the end? It is the blueprint for the collection, measurement, and analysis of data. What are the data that we need? How we will gather the data, and how we analyze the data that we had gathered. So be reminded, or always remember, that the research problem determines the type of design you should use, not the other way around. So always let us review the research problem as we craft our design, or as we decide for our design. Okay, so let us go back to the presentation of Sir Manja a while back. Let us review what are the questions. We have 3 questions, and then we have to answer each question. What shall we do for each question? So here is just an example how to do experimental, or the pre-test post-test experimental design. This is the sample question. Is there a significant difference on the students' mean performance scores before and after the intervention? With this type of question, we have only one group because we need to determine the competency level of the group before and after the implementation or application of the intervention. Okay, so usually we conduct pre-tests to determine the competency level of the students, and then after the intervention, we conduct the post-test. This design is so-called pre-test, post-test experimental design. Okay, so another example, what if we have 2 groups? This is example question. Is there a significant difference on mean performance scores between control and experimental group before and after the intervention? So the participants of this study will be divided into 2. The first group will undergo the regular class, and then the second group will undergo the intervention. Okay, so things to remember when we do this type of research, or this research design. The participants should be randomly assigned to the groups with equal number of participants. If in group 1 we have 30, and then in group 2 it should be 30 as well. And then they tend to be equal in competency level. If we had identified that the group 1 are under beginning level, and then of course in group 2 they are also at beginning level. Okay, so again, this is an example design when we conduct 2 groups, or we have the participants are divided into 2 groups. So what are the statistical tools that we need to use in the previous examples or previous setting? In 2 classes or 2 groups, we have to compare the difference between the 2. And so the statistical tool that we will use will be the independent t-test. Okay, so you have the point of comparison. You will compare the group who underwent the intervention, and you will compare that group to the group who undergone the regular class. Okay, next is in what if in one group only. So we will compare the performance of this group before and after the intervention. So we will use the dependent t-test. Okay. So next, effect size. This is pertaining to problem number 3, as presented by Sir Manja. in his problem, he want to know or to determine the effect size. So the statistical tool to be used will be the eta squared. Okay? And then, how about descriptive statistics? If we want to describe the group before and after the intervention, usually this is in number 1 question. So we can use the frequency, percentage, and mean. Right, so here are some key points that we need to remember. When we conduct the independent p-test, we have 2 groups. The control, example, we have the control and experimental. When paired samples or the dependent p-test, we are testing the same people on more than one occasion. Right. Now, next, let's us have the research instrument or the pre-test and post-test. What are the things that we need to consider when we are constructing our test? First, they have the same number of items. Even pre-test, it consists of 20 items. Likewise, in post-test, it should be 20 items. In second, they have the same competency. So if we are determining the reading ability in the pre-test, it should be the same in the post-test. We are testing the reading ability. Next is the same difficulty level. How many easy questions under pre-test? If we have 5, in post-test, it should be 5 as well. Okay? As much as possible, different sets of tests, but be reminded on the first 3 items. If we are constructing different sets of tests, pre-test and post-test, they should have the same number of items, same competency, and same difficulty level. Then, it should be validated by the panel of experts. Example for a teacher, the questions should be validated by the master teacher or the head teacher and the principal. Okay, so here are some examples on how to craft the parts of our action research methods. Okay, so on the first part, the participants and or other sources of data and information. Okay, if we are having the one group, the participants of this study will be the 33 students of a grade 10 class at Kabulay High School in the school year 2019-2020. They will be selected based on their completion performance on their academic requirements, which will be categorized into 3: low performing, average performing, and high performing students. Okay, so that is the first. What are the other sources of information? We can use our class record. We can also use the anecdotal record. Anecdotal record can be used, the observations, I should say, the observations written in our anecdotal record can be used to support our quantitative data when we will write our completed research. Oh, another example po, if we have one group in the data gathering method, okay, how to write or how to craft. This research will use the pre-experimental research design through one-shot case study. The identified intervention will be implemented only in one class. The status on academic requirements, completion of the participants will be measured before and after the implementation. This is to determine whether the intervention helped the students in improving their performance in completing their academic requirements. So in the first line, we are presenting what research design shall be used, and then we have to explain why we are using that research design. How about if two groups? This is another example. Okay po. So on the first line, it said the research will use pre-test, post-test, experimental research design, and then there will be two groups, the experimental and control. The experimental will undergo the intervention while the other group will not. Then both of them will take the test before and after the implementation of the intervention. Okay po. So this is just an example. Pwede po tayong magsulat ng iba. Ayun naman po yung kabutihan sa language. Pwede po natin siyang laruin. Okay? Basta ang importante, andun po yung message niya o yung substance po niya. Right. Here is another example on how to craft the procedure in our action research. Okay? So in my example, I have three phases. I have pre, actual, and then post. In pre, these are the things that should be done. Review on the students' records, classification of students, and then orientation of the teachers, parents, students, and then I have to seek the parents' consent. In actual implementation, this is now how the intervention will be implemented, and then in the post, what are the things to be done after. So that is the collation of data and then the data analysis. So how about the time frame? In action research, a maximum of 6 months to complete the research. And so I have here in my pre, I have 1 month to accomplish that. Then actual, 2 months, that is the second and third month. And then in the post-implementation, that is 4th to 5th month. Why 2 months? After the implementation, we need to disseminate our tools. Okay po. Right, here is another example. So how to answer, or what will be the statistical tools to be used in every problem? Example, in problem number 1, we need to determine the competency level of the students before and after. So in my example, I need the data and the academic requirements completion of the students. And then the statistical tools to be used on this are the frequency, the mean, and then the percentage. Okay. And then next, in the question number 2, I need to identify the significant difference. So I will be performing the dependency test. Because the participants in this study will be only one group. Again, but groups, we have to conduct independent tests. In the third problem, I need to identify the effect size or to determine the effect size. So the statistical tool to be used will be the eta squared. Okay? So how to compute all of this? Don't worry, we can top the statisticians or other experts. We can ask their help to help us to compute these things. Okay po? Kung hindi po natin alam, pwede po natin silang tanungin or pwede nila tayong turuan kung paano nga ito i-compute. Bukas, si Sir Roldan Cardona will be discussing on how to compute these things, then how to interpret the data. Okay, so how to craft the data analysis plan. Ito po ay sa last part ata ng part na to, ng action research method. So this is, again, another example. To determine the status of completion performance of each student on academic requirements before and after the implementation of Project Grace, the following will be done. So I will be using the frequency, the percentage, and then the mean. Ayan po yung mga example po niya. Then ethics. Na-mention na ito ni Sir Marfil kaninang umaga, but I just want to reiterate that in our procedure, it should be included. In the pre-implementation, we need to mention that we will be seeking the parental consent of the participants, especially we are in the basic education wherein our participants are minors. Okay po, then NCIP permission or certification when they are belong to IPs. Ayan po. So, some things to remember. So, I just want to end my presentation through this poem, ACA, Laban sa Pandemya. Ako ay isang guro na may ACA. Araw-araw ay dala-dala, panlaban sa pandemya. Access, completion at achievement, hamon ay pataasin, research solution natin. Kaya halina tayo mag-research, makabagong paraan ng pag-aaral ay ating likhain para sa pag-unlad ng mag-aaral natin. Muli, ito po ang inyong lingkod, Brenda Nieves of Cabulay High School. Maraming salamat po sa pakikinig. Sir Marfil, maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Ma'am Brenda, for that very comprehensive and informative sharing on
Sir
the
Marfil.
methodologies of Hello, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That you have shared to
Salamat.
us, especially to our participants po sa Division Basic Education Research Conference. If we have questions po for Ma'am Brenda, kindly type lang po yung inyong tanong dyan po sa ating comment section, and we will try our best po to answer your queries. Pero I think mga commendations naman ang nandito, Ma'am Brenda.
Salamat,
Mga
sir.
message recommendations. So, thank you, Ma'am Brenda. Coming from Ma'am Jonalyn Martin, Ma'am Nina Tubo. Siguro nire-reserve nila yung mga tanong nila during the the cluster meeting. Doon po siguro nila tatanungin yung mga gusto nilang
Yes, sir. Kasi mga, oo. At saka sir, may mga specific naman kasi yung bawat bawat result. So maganda talaga may mga Opo.
Correct, ma'am. So I think mga commendations po itong mga ito. So while waiting, Ma'am Brenda, for the questions, kung meron man, allow me to present this certificate po to our very competent researcher in SDO Santiago City. So Department of Education Schools Division of Santiago City awards this Certificate of Appreciation to Dr. Brenda D. Niebres for her invaluable services rendered as research speaker on methodologies in action research during the conduct of the Division Basic Education Research Conference, or DBERC 2021. Given this 26th day of April 2021 at the Schools Division of Santiago City, signed our Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Cherry Salarzon Ramos. Again, Ma'am Brenda, congratulations po. And thank you very much for always imparting your technical know-how sa atin pong mga teachers and non-teaching staff sa SDO Santiago City sa walang sawang pagtulong sa ating mga kaguruan para mapalago pa ang research sa Santiago City. Thank you very much, Doc Niebres from Cabulay High School. Maraming salamat, Ma'am Brenda. See you later po sa East Cluster, because Ma'am Brenda po ay ay coordinator po ng East Cluster of schools in terms of research. Yeah. So puro ang nakikita ko dito, Ma'am Brenda, ay puro mga commendations naman. And congratulatory
message. Salamat po, sir.
Yes.
Salamat po sa lahat sa pakikinig. See you po sa mga susunod na araw.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ma'am Brenda. At yan po ang isa sa mga doktor ng Division Research Technical Working Group po na masugid na tumutulong po sa ating lahat in terms of research sa SDO Santiago City. Thank you very much, Ma'am Brenda. Kung mapapansin po ninyo, may email po ako sa inyo. I-check nyo po yung inyong mga email. Very po tayo ngayon, tawag nito. Very, very specific po tayo ngayon. And kung sino po yung mga nag-participate lang doon sa registration, sila lang po yung nakatanggap ng email. At yung email po na yon is about the attendance. Okay? So, machi-check ko po agad kung nag-attendance po ba kayo or present pa po kayo. Pero I sent already po a link to your private email. Private email po yan sa inyong DepEd email account. All you have to do is to click that and then fill out nyo po yung form and then meron na po kayong attendance. Agad-agad. So, ganun po ang gagawin natin every day. Makaka-receive po kayo ng email hanggang day 5. And then all you have to do po is to click po yung link na yon because we have 220 participants for right now. And I don't know po kung ilan pa tayo bukas, but right now we have 163. So meron na pong mga absent. I-check ko po kung anong time po kayo mag-attendance. Hanggang 5 PM lang po ang attendance. So make sure po na nakapag-attendance na po kayo. I-send ko na po yung link sa inyo pong DepEd email account. Okay. Our next speaker, young as she is very, very competent in terms of research. Why? Because she joined twice in the Basic Education Research Conference, regional level, 2 beses po. Isa sa mga Division Research Technical Working Group na nag-2 beses sa Arbor. Okay, batch 4, batch 5. Hindi ko lang alam, hindi po siya sumali ng batch 6 dahil siya po ay research coordinator din po ng kanilang school and the very competent technical working group and the coordinator of research in the secondary, including that includes junior high school and senior high school po. My schoolmate, Ma'am Florence Henoves Baga. Ma'am Florence, hello.
Afternoon po.
Diba? So,
kanina pa po ako talagang...
Yung mga dumadalawang beses na yan eh.
Ay, sir, pero okay, nakabahan ako sa internet ko. Medyo mahina siya. Pero we will do this.
Yes, pati din sila Ma'am Mabi kanina pero umokay naman sa pauwi na lang tayo sa audio and dun sa presentation. Kahit na medyo bumagal-bagal ang ating mga bibig, wag lang yung audio.
Sige po. Let me just share my screen po.
Sige ma'am, I'm now giving the screen to our able speaker this afternoon, Ma'am Florence Bagat. Take it away, ma'am.
Sir Marvin, meron na po. Okay na po yung pan ko, yung screen ko. Nakikita niyo na po?
Meron na po.
Okay po. So, good afternoon everyone once again. So, here is how we start. We will look into cases. We have here case number 1. So, let me just read this. This is from DuBois J. 2014. Okay, Sally immigrated from China to pursue a research career in the United States. Her understanding of English is excellent, but she still finds it difficult to write papers in any language other than Mandarin. She is doing a federally funded post-doctoral fellowship in health psychology laboratory. Her research focuses on behavioral interventions aimed at reducing obesity. As she writes up the results of her study, she finds 2 articles that are relevant, a systematic review article on the same subject and a study done by someone in her lab 2 years earlier. So what did she do? So she borrows text extensively from both articles without citing them and then submits her paper for publication. Okay, so while the paper is still under review, she is visited by her institution's research integrity officer who notifies her that the journal found plagiarized text in her article. Her case will be reported to a federal oversight body. So Sally is shocked that her failure to cite sources is being treated so seriously. So we have here a problem of plagiarism. All right, so let's have another case here. Or let's say you have here a research problem. So what are the failings and coping mechanisms of parents whose children have a terminal illness? So you have to look into the two terms here, terminal illness, and then okay, you are going to probe, probing such kind of study will actually may result to painful or what's that, traumatic experiences for the parents because you are giving them another, diba? Another problem, I think. Okay, so we will discuss now ethical issues. So I'm Florence G. Bagat from Patul National High School. Okay, so we have here ethical issues in school-based research. That's from Felsman, age 2009. So we have potential psychological risks include emotional upset, which could be triggered by, so number one, confrontation with particularly emotionally evocative material. So they may have a problem with this one. Number two, confrontation with age inappropriate material. Okay, aakma ba? Ayun. And then confrontation with sensitive topics. All right, another one, confrontation with topics related to personal difficulties or difficult life experiences. Okay, so you have to look into this kind. That's why we have this ethical issues in your research. Another one, triggering a traumatic memories. Okay, so there are also social risks, which may include being singled out, embarrassment in front of other students, change of image within peer group, and loss of status within the peer group. Let's just say, for example, you have a study and then you included in your working title the term academically challenged. So if you are the student, ala, kasama pala ako doon sa academically challenged. Ano? So baka lang, there is really a wrong connotation to that kind. So kailangan natin silang ma-orient ng mabuti doon. Alright, so what's the remedy here? Topics like underage sexual activity, abortion, smoking, and drug use, mental illness, death, and dying are of concern to many children. So in order to be able to identify and address these harms, researchers have the responsibility of providing debriefing opportunities. So may kailangan palang mga ganyan. Alright, so these are some specialized principles of research ethics that can help us. Alright, number one is scientific honesty. Do not commit scientific fraud. For example, you fabricate, you falsify, you trim, cook, destroy, or misrepresent data. For example, you have there in your research questions, what is the significant difference of, ganyan po ano, ang gagamitin natin doon is paired sample state test, for example. And from your pre-test and post-test data, madali mo na lang siya makikita kung ang result ba niya ay significant later or hindi. Pero para saan pa, di ba, na nag-i-study ka kung kukontrolin mo yung data mo? If you will fabricate, falsify. Okay, and number two, carefulness. We have to be careful. Strive to avoid careless errors or sloppiness in all aspects of scientific work. So we really need to be careful. Later, I will show you an example of that. And then number three, this is about intellectual freedom. So scientists should be allowed to pursue new ideas and criticize old ones. May commercial po. Highway po kasi itong bahay namin. They should be free to conduct research they find interesting. Ayan. So no one can dictate you. All right? So it's your own preference. What are you going to study? Okay? And then we have here a sample here. Okay, here's case 2. William has run a successful lab for years. He is surprised one day to find out he is being investigated for data fabrication. For many years, he and others in his lab dropped outliers, when you say outliers, observations, and made up values when they had missing data without reporting such activities in their manuscripts. He felt this just made it easier to get through peer review. Ayan, para lang mapabilis, ano? It yielded clearer and stronger patterns but never changed the basic conclusions of his research. So here comes the problem. An angry postdoctoral fellow whom he fired for consistently sloppy work reported him to the university's research integrity officer. So may nangyaring retaliation dito. So William lost all of his research funding and his lab was closed. 3 staff members lost their jobs and 2 doctoral students had to find new mentors and start new projects. So William admits that what he did was wrong. He feels intense shame and regrets the pain it caused him, staff, and student. So, seryoso po talaga yung mga ganyang bagay. Ano? Alright, so number 4, openness. You have to share your data. That's why we have dissemination. Okay, results, methods, theories, equipment, and so on. Allow people to see your work. Be open to criticism. Alright, so number 5, the principle of credit. So here, do not plagiarize the work of other scientists. You have to give due credit to where it is due. Okay, to whom it is due. All right, so we have here Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines under Republic Act number 8293 section 1. So what does it say? Includes the rights to require that the authorship of the works be attributed to him. So we will give due credit. In particular, the right that his name, as far as practicable, be indicated in a prominent way on the copies and in connection with the public use of his work. Ayan. So I have here a sample on where I found the cases of those who plagiarized papers. So siguro in an attempt to publish papers, they wanted to really have that, ayan. Kaya lang, may mali nga. Okay, let's look into the case summaries. This page contains cases in which administrative actions were imposed due to findings of research misconduct. So let's look into an example here. Okay, ano ang case ni Lin Yibin? ORI found that respondent, the researcher, engaged in research misconduct by knowingly and intentionally falsifying, fabricating, and plagiarizing data and text reported in the following published papers, which have been retracted in manuscripts. So wala ka nang ma-explain dyan kasi kumpleto yung reference nila kung saan niya kinopya yun, yung published paper, dyan niya kinopya yun. Alright, and then another one, from Downs Charles A. Ano yung case niya? Or I found that respondent engaged in research misconduct by, again and then, falsifying, fabricating data. Ayan. In the following 6 grant applications submitted for PHS funds. Paano yun? Hindi naman ako magsasubmit, ma'am, for publication. So, konsensya natin yun. Ano? Alright? Okay, so we have your principle of voluntary participation. Number 1, participants must have informed consent. We'll be showing you an example of this one later. Must be fully informed about the procedures and risks involved in research and must give their consent to participate. So walang pwersahan, okay? All right, and then researchers must not put participants in a situation where they might be at risk of harm as a result of their participation. Okay? And then, research guarantees the participants' confidentiality and anonymity. Confidential, we will keep the record. Yung hindi mo i-reveal ang kanilang pagkatao dyan sa anonymity. Alright, kaya lang ang hirap minsan ng anonymity kasi kilala mo sila, di ba? Alright. So, for the limits of confidentiality, give participants information about how their data will be used. Okay, what will be done with case materials, photos, and audio and video recordings and secure their consent. So I have here a sample. Okay, example of informed consent, this one. You are being asked to take part in a research study concerning the use of graphic images in government funding anti-smoking campaigns. So when you look into the 4th paragraph, you will be asked to view a series of images. some of which may show damaged lungs, throats, and other body parts. Ito na yung sinasabing risk. Okay? You may find these images disturbing. Halimbawa, doon sa intervention mo later, may mga pictures ka doon na disturbing nga sa mga bata. Kaya ganyan kahalaga ang ating informed consent. So you will be asked to discuss these images as well as questions about your lifestyle habits, including diet and so on. So your responses will be kept confidential. Okay? How about itong mismong form na ito? Confidential yan kasi may pangalan sila, may signature. Ayan. So, paano ang gagawin natin when we collected this informed consent? So, you really have to keep them. Okay? Hindi pwede ding pakalat-kalat kasi baka sensitive din yung iyong topic. Okay? Ito naman nilalabas lang kapag hinihingi ng panel siguro, ganyan, later. Okay? So, you look at the last part. After your participation is voluntary, by signing below, you indicate that you have read and understood what is being asked of you and that you consent to participate. Okay, so I have here a sample of ethical issues included in your research paper, research. Alright, so completed po ito kasi kaya naka-past tense kapag sa mga proposal po, ay present tense na lang po natin. This is a sample from Ms. Maribel T. de Guzman. So the welfare of the participants was given focus in all the stages of this study. Participants received a consent form. Ayan, magre-receive sila. And then, likewise, parents' consent were considered kasi kailangan natin ang parents, ang approval nila. And then, approval of authorities was sought for the continuation of the study. Okay, so we follow here protocols. Okay, and then ethical principles connected to discovery through autonomy and justice help promote trustworthiness. Ayan, sample po yan. Pwede pong isend yan later or screenshot niyo na po, sample. And then another sample here from Ms. Marivic Amhalog. Okay, so the participants' welfare was given consideration. So she asked consent from parents or guardians. And then, of course, the proponent also sought the approval of the authority for this study to better ensure the success of the intervention. Alright, so kanya lang po kasimple ang presentation ko sa ethical issues because the objective of ethical issue is, number one, you have to protect your respondents because they are humans. And then number two, look into the quality of your paper. Okay. And I would like to end my discussion with this one from Colossians 3 verse 17. And whatever you do, in word or deed, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through Him. Okay, so in everything we do, we honor the Lord. All right, so we will get an approval from God. Ayan. Sa mga overwhelmed po sa kanilang gagawin, from sa mga magpo-propose mo, from rational intervention, ganyan, research questions, and so on, hanggang matapos yung proposal sa inyo, sana ma-consider natin ang ethical issues also. Alright, so thank you po.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Florence. Napaka-comprehensive ng ating ng discussion ni Ma'am with examples po yan. Okay, so yung kanina bird's eye view lang po ang binigay namin sa inyo. Ma'am Florence has given us a really comprehensive one kung saan papasok yung ethical considerations na gagawin natin, especially in conducting our research. Again, congratulations and thank you very much po, Ma'am Florence Henoves Baga. For your questions po or queries, kindly type in dyan po sa ating comment section so that ma-address po natin yung query. Kanina po meron po kaming nalampasan na tanong. Sorry po. Hindi po namin nabasa kasi meron pong tandaan po ninyo sa mga participants po and even sa mga speakers, pag StreamYard po meron pong 10 seconds na delay. So lahat po yun parang SOP yun ng StreamYard and YouTube. So meron po siya talagang standard na delay, 10 seconds po yun. So habang nagsasalita po ako ngayon, kayo po maririnig nyo siya 10 seconds after ko pong magsalita. So parang ganun. That's why hindi po namin masagot po agad-agad. But anyway, yung question po na yon ay nagmula sa South Cluster of Schools and our coordinator there is Sir Loreto Codala. So he will be the one to answer po your questions na lang siguro later kung natabunan na po yung tanong. But anyhow, may tanong po ba tayo para kay Ma'am Florence? So we're gonna wait po for 10 seconds. And of course, allow me to present this certificate to our very competent, able, and intelligent po na presenter this afternoon. To Ma'am Florence G. Bagat for her invaluable services rendered as resource speaker on ethics in action research during the conduct of the Division Basic Education Research Conference or DBERC 2021. Given this 26th day of April 2021 at the Schools Division of Santiago City, signed Ma'am Cherry S. Ramos, EDD CESO 5 Schools Division Superintendent. Again, congratulations and thank you, Ma'am Florence, for never you're not tired or not tiring sa pag-share po ng iyong expertise sa ating mga kaguruan and of course sa ating mga non-teaching personnel. Anyway, we're gonna send you po a copy of this later. May screenshot mo ba, Ma'am Florence?
Yes po.
Thank you. And I think similar scenario, puro mga words of commendation and appreciation po ang makikita natin dyan. And anyway, alam ko later on yung ating mga secondary teachers at secondary non-teaching personnel natin will be asking the question siguro during the cluster meet. So thank you. And again, congratulations, Ma'am Florence, our very active and intelligent coordinator of the junior high school and senior high school cluster of SDO Santiago City. Ayun, si Ma'am Evelyn Semanero pala from the South Cluster siya. So nasagot na daw po pala ni Sir Loreto. Thank you, Ma'am, and sorry po kung medyo nagkaroon ng delay po or hindi ko nabasa yung tanong. Anyways, naging very naman po keen si Sir Loreto to look into your query, ma'am. Again, thank you po, and to Ma'am Florence, congratulations and kudos. Okay, so yes, ma'am. Next po, sa ating susunod na speaker, we still have two and our time is 2:50 in the afternoon. At 3 po, at 3 p.m. siguro we'll pause for a break. Siguro pwede po tayong coffee break for 10 minutes po. So we're gonna give you po 10 minutes para pumunta ng comfort room, magtimpla po ng kape to have your break. And at 3 p.m. po, babalik po tayo dito for our next discussion. Medyo i-prolong lang natin yung agony ng ating susunod na speaker. Kasi very ready na po siya. Okay, siya ay isa sa mga bagong breed ng Division Research Technical Working Group na talagang we are very proud of. Yeah. So, we're gonna give po 10 minutes break. Huwag na po tayong alis dito. Siguro pwede nating iwanan yung mga gadget po natin. And maghanap lang ako ng countdown na 10 minutes. Okay. Saan na siya? I-share lang po ako ng screen. Chrome. Share audio. Uy, naglalag. Okay, so we're back po. Balik na po tayo sa ating mga kinauupuan, sa ating most comfortable seat po dyan po sa ating learning corner or siguro training corner sa kanya-kanya po nating mga bahay or school. At this juncture, let us welcome our sixth speaker for this day. She is one of the youngest member of the Division Research Technical Working Group and the member of the South Cluster of Schools. She will be discussing one of the very important parts of conducting a research. Okay. And I'm referring to referencing. Napakahalaga po nito. So we have to take note of all the things that she will be discussing. She is a graduate of Philippine Normal University cum laude, Bachelor of Elementary Education, and she is now teaching at Caloocan Elementary School and currently one of the research enthusiasts of that school. Let us all welcome with a resounding virtual applause, Ma'am Judian B. Santiago. Hi, Ma'am Juday.
Hello, sir. Sir, clear po ba yung audio ko?
Yes, clear,
Okay.
clear, ma'am.
Okay, sir. So,
Sige po.
good afternoon. Sige, sir.
Sige, ma'am. The screen is yours.
Okay, sir. Okay, before I start, let me share my screen po. Wait lang po. Sir, nakikita na po ba? Sir?
Yes, ma'am, Juday.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, so good afternoon po once again, and I am very much happy to be part of Division Basic Education Research Conference 2021. And I would like to greet all the teaching and non-teaching personnel of SDO Santiago City, and of course, the excellent leaders of our division. I am Judian B. Santiago from Caloocan Elementary School, and I am very much grateful to be able to share few of my knowledge about research, specifically referencing using the APA format. So once again, good afternoon. So let's start right away po. Okay, actually, referencing in action research is somewhat like this. Here is a surveyor. Maingay ang aso namin. Wait lang po.
Ma'am
Okay,
Jeday,
ayan siya.
pwedeng ano muna natin yung inyong dog.
wait lang, sir, ha? Wait lang po. Sorry po.
Sige lang po. Ano lang muna tayo, dog management.
Hindi sila maingay kanina. Umingay na sila ngayon. Wait lang po. Nanadya.
Kasi baka ma-disturb yung ating mga participants while they're listening to you. Sayang naman maganda yung topic.
Okay, yan. Wala na sila.
Thank you.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, like what I said a while ago, referencing in action research is somewhat like this. Here is a surveyor. Surveyors use theodolites, their equipment, to have accurate reading of lands they want to survey. The question is, why do they need to do that? Of course, to acknowledge rightful ownership of other landowners and to see the accuracy of land measurements. This is like referencing in action research. We use various media. We use various equipment like books, journals, newspapers, websites, etc. to give our paperwork's credibility and accuracy. And one thing that we should never ever forget in writing research is, of course, to do referencing. That's why this afternoon po, our aim is to firm up the understanding of the participants on the use of APA format in citing references, with key understanding such as realize the importance of citing references properly, identify correct format in acknowledging sources of information, in the list of references parts and order of review of related literature and studies presentation, demonstrate understanding on citing references using the APA style, and use various applications to properly cite sources. So to begin with, let's have this. Okay, the most important question, why reference? We have a lot of reasons. Referencing can actually make you authoritative. Referencing can demonstrate your knowledge as a researcher. And most importantly, referencing will avoid plagiarism. Okay. Now let's have the first one, authoritative. What makes a researcher authoritative? What is an authoritative teacher? Authoritative researcher. Of course, he must be trustworthy, he must be reliable, he must be accurate. So let's have this as an example. These two paragraphs have the same content. But what do you think makes the other paragraph different with the other one? Okay, so let's look at this. Okay, pwede observe po natin ano kaya yung pinagkaiba ng dalawang paragraph. Okay, so I hope you saw it already. Ayan sila ulit. Okay. The difference between these two are the presence of this. And how do we call this? These are in-text citations. In-text citations will make your readers believe that you have lots of evidences to support your claims in your research. Let's look at it this way. For example, you are a reader. And I'll ask you po, which of these two paragraphs will you choose? Which of these two paragraphs do you think is more trustworthy? I bet you will choose paragraph 2. This paragraph 2 is more persuasive, more trustworthy, which will make the writer of this more authoritative. In action research, millions of words, millions of sentences, millions of paragraphs are nonsense if you can prove that you are an authoritative writer. And to do this, of course, you should be able to provide citations which can support your claim so as to establish yourself as an authoritative researcher. Okay, let's have the second one. Referencing, of course, can demonstrate your knowledge as a researcher. Like sailors steered by stars, referencing can actually demonstrate your own knowledge. It provides evidences to support your claims. You can show that you are well aware of the field. And of course, it maps the space of your discipline and allow you to navigate your way through your chosen field of study. Let's go back to our examples a while ago. Okay, wait. Okay, this one. Providing sources can actually convince our readers that you have read a lot of studies, a lot of related literature in your research. Of course, you won't put these sources if you haven't read it, right? Including sources in your research demonstrate that you are well aware of the pros and cons, if there are any. You are well aware of the results of the studies previously conducted. In short, you have studied well your chosen topic as you carry on with your research. And remember, in action research, of course, you can take action without knowing the words, and statements without basis, or of course, pure opinion. Okay, and the last one, and the most important, of course, avoid referencing can avoid plagiarism. Mom Florence somewhat explained plagiarism a while ago, and so this is not new to us anymore. Plagiarism, like what we said, is using someone else's work for your own sake. That's why this afternoon, I'll just give some examples or some types of plagiarism. Let's have the first one. Okay, this is the original work, and this is the plagiarized one. Do you see any differences? I don't think so, because this is what we call clone plagiarism. From the word clone, you exactly copied someone else's work to make it look like it's yours. Doing this will not only discredit original writers, but will also cause you a lot of effects. Let me have this an example. You are an educator. And pag sinabi nila, si ganito nag-plagiarize, parang it's against our ethics. It's very unethical. So I hope we should avoid plagiarism because in the first place, it's against our ethics. So yun po. Next one. The second one is find, replace plagiarism. From the word find, replace plagiarism. Okay, wait, this one. As you can see, this is the original work. This is the plagiarized one. Words were included, nadagdagan. It's like new, around, and research. But it isn't essential at all. Across, instead of saying across, you wrote around. Instead of saying studies, you wrote research. You try to find words, you try to replace it, but actually, it is just plagiarism. It isn't paraphrasing at all. Kasi hindi naman po ganito ang paraphrasing. Nag-add ka lang. So what kung nag-add ka? The idea itself is the same. It's exactly the same. So let's have another example. Another example of find, replace plagiarism. So as you can see, nagdagdag lang po ng in this case of. And instead of saying across the world, all over the globe, instead of saying human-to-human transmission, man-to-man communicable. So as you can see, yun nga, find, replace, plagiarism. Okay, let's have the third one. Self-plagiarism. You might ask me or you might comment dyan sa mga nakikinig, self-plagiarism, why is it considered plagiarism when in the first place, that's my work? That's also my question. But based on what I have read, self-plagiarism commonly described as recycling or reusing one's own specific words from previously published texts. It's like repurposing your own written material without providing proper attribution by citing the original content. It's like this. Let's say may research paper ka when you are still in college. And now that you are already working, you tried to copy everything without doing any improvements, and without even integrating new discoveries or new information. Hindi ko po naalala kung sino nagsabi kanina, but actually, pwede naman tayong mag-adopt, is that the right term? Pero sana, we should integrate new discoveries. In self-plagiarism kasi, you are not integrating new discoveries at all. In which, when you do that, that is not the main purpose of research. Because in research, you have to provide new discoveries, you have to provide new information. So when you do self-plagiarism, you're not helping at all and you're not doing research at all. Okay, let's have the next one. Mash-up plagiarism. Okay. Mash-up plagiarism, I mean, we hear the word mash-up sa mga kanta po, di ba? Mash-up ng mga kanta, they'll try to mix various songs and then we'll make it into one. And this, meron din po sa plagiarism. Mash-up plagiarism is like a written document is copied from more than one source and all are mixed together without any proper citation. That is called mash-up kind of plagiarism. Actually, this is one of the most common types of plagiarism. Kahit nga matatanda na, kahit mga adult, we're still doing this. We are reading a lot of articles from that writer to this writer to this writer, and then you'll try to mix everything as if it is your own. When in the first place, nag-mash up ka lang. And ladies and gentlemen, in our time now, napakadaling makita ang mga plagiarized works. Marami tayong mga applications. Later on, I think I'll mapapahapyawan ko yung mga applications na yun in which makikita kung nag-plagiarize ka. So as much as possible, and being an educator, being a teacher, as much as possible, we should avoid this. Okay. And having these types of plagiarism, you might ask me, so what should we do? What are we going to do to avoid plagiarism? To avoid plagiarism, number one, make a clear and cohesive plan of your research. Keep track of the sources you consult in your research. This is actually important upon reading a lot of articles. And kapag meron kang nakuhang sources, you may write it on an index paper. Yun yung sinuggest sa amin last time, which is very helpful. Number three, paraphrase or quote from your sources, but don't forget to add your own ideas. Number four, credit the original author in an in-text citation and the reference list. And number five, last but not the least, use a plagiarism checker before you submit. What are these plagiarism checker? Like plagiarismdetector.net, duplichecker.com, paperrater.com, and grammarly.com. And a lot of applications pa po. And then you may ask again, why do we need to conduct this plagiarism checker before you submit? There were times when accidental plagiarism happened. Sometimes it's inevitable na my idea is the same with yours. And I didn't know na nauna ka na pala. So that's what we call accidental plagiarism. And to avoid that, we can use various applications. And these applications are very helpful. Okay, so I can't see you. I hope you're still here with me, but okay, I'll continue. Okay, now the next question might be, how do we acknowledge sources of information in the list of references? We have this APA style of citation. Why APA? We have MLA, we have a lot of styles, but why APA? Because it is widely used in education, business, and nursing. It is an easy referencing of others' research. Okay, we have two parts to referencing. We have in-text citations, and we have end-of-paper citations, or the references, or the bibliography. Okay, so we have here in-text citations. As you can see, this is how it looks like. The author's surname, year of publication, and the pages. You may ask, is it really necessary to include the pages? Kasi hindi naman natin ginagawa. Based on what I have read, it is necessary when you included a direct quote from that author. So you have to include the pages. But if you don't have direct quotes naman, you can disregard pages. And end of paper or the bibliography looks like this. Let's have first in-text citations. Okay. Sa atin po dyan sa mga nakikinig, please look at this. What do you think, or is there any difference between these two? May difference po ba kayong nakikita? I bet meron po. Okay. This one. As you can see, the first one, both the author's surname and the year of publication is enclosed in parentheses, while the other one, only the year of publication is enclosed in parentheses. Okay. The first one is what we call parenthetical citations, used at the end of the quoted sentence or paragraph. On the other hand, we call it the other example, we call it narrative citations, used at the beginning or middle of the quoted sentence or paragraph. Base po kasi sa mga feedbacks, ito yung minsan na disregard natin, yung parenthetical and narrative citations. So I'll give you an example. This one is an example of narrative citation since we use it at the beginning or in the middle of the quoted sentence or paragraph. This one is parenthetical citation since we use it at the end of the quoted sentence or paragraph. Okay, so I hope it's clear po the difference between parenthetical and narrative citation. Let's now have yung sa bibliography part, end of paper citations or the references part. Okay, here are the author rules. This is how you should write it. Initials are separated and ended by a period. Example, Mitchell, J.A. In my case, Santiago, J. Number two, multiple authors are separated by commas and then ampersand. Example, Mitchell, J.A., comma, space, Thompson, comma, space, M, ampersand, Coin, comma, space, R. Number three, multiple authors with the same surname and initial, add their name in square brackets. Example, Mendeley, comma, space, J, period, space, and then what's this? Square brackets if they have the same surname and initial. But this is really not common naman. Okay, let's have date rules. Date refers to date of publishing, of course. If the date is unknown, ND is used in its place. Example, Mendeley, comma, space, J period A, period, ND. Title rules. Of course, this changes depending on your reference. Publisher, okay, you have to include the city. And then last is retrieve from URL if it's from an online source. So you have to include the URL. Words retrieve from and then paste the URL. Okay. Now, these are the applications used in citations. We have two ways. The offline citation using the MS Word, Microsoft Word, and the online citation using citethis4me.com. Let's have first offline citation. Don't worry, I'll try to demonstrate this later on. Steps offline. Okay, on the References tab, in the Citations and Bibliography group, click the arrow next to Style. After clicking the style, choose APA, since that's the standard one. This one. Click at the end of the sentence or phrase you want to cite. Click Insert Citation and then select Add New Source. Kapag kinlik po natin ang Add New Source, ito na ang lalabas. Since this is an offline citation, since this is offline, you will manually type all the information. Manually type the author, the title, the year, publisher, and city. And if you want to include more information, you may click Show All Bibliography Fields. And then click OK. And then, mailalagay na po yung source. So, to demonstrate it, let me close my PowerPoint presentation first. Okay. Okay. So, can you see po my Microsoft Word? Okay. Sir Marv, nakikita po ba?
Yes, ma'am. Kaya lang you have to enlarge it kaunti kasi medyo malabo ang mata ko eh.
Ay, okay, sige.
Malabo din yung mata nung participant. So, yan. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
okay,
you.
sir. Thank you po. Okay, let's have this for example. Let's say you have read a certain book written by Mike Cabigon entitled State of English in the Philippines. Should we be concerned? In the year 2015 at Quezon City with ACMA Publishing Company. Okay, so as you read that book, you included this paragraph. Palitin ko lang po konti. Okay. If you want, like what I said a while ago, you may choose from parenthetical citation, you may choose from narrative citation. Okay, let's say I'll make use of parenthetical citation. Usually, ang ginagawa po natin, tatype lang natin, right? Lalagay mo, Cabigon 2050. That's it. Itatype mo lang. But to save energy later on, we can make use of Microsoft. We can make use of Microsoft Word. How? Let's please try to focus po. Okay, so I'll delete this first. So like what I said, parenthetical citation ang gagawin ko. So I'll put my cursor at the end. So ito na po yung cursor ko. Okay, click references. Ito po ang references. Choose APA. It's already here, APA. And then, click Insert Citation. After clicking Insert Citation, add New Source. Okay, so here it is. The author is Mike Cabigon. Write first or type first his last name, Mike Cabigon. The title is The State of English in the Philippines. Should we be concerned? Okay. Now, it was published in the year 2015. City of Quezon City. The publishing company. Okay. So, now, if you already incorporated all the necessary information, you may click OK. But like what I said a while ago po, kung may mga volumes yung book and you want to include it, just check Show All Bibliography Fields. So makikita niyo na po yung mga gusto nyong idagdag. Do you want to include the state, the province, the country, the region, editor, volume, number of volumes? It's up to you. But since hindi ko na po siya i-include, so hindi ko nalalagyan. So I'll just click OK. Okay, so andito na po siya. Ngayon po, kung mapapansin niyo kapag tinapat ko yung cursor, pag tinapat ko po yung cursor, may gray po na lumalabas. Yan. Tatapat ko po, may gray na lalabas na somewhat highlighted ang Cabigon 2015. In this case po, ibig sabihin, registered na siya sa system ng MS Word, sa references ng MS Word. Kaya nandito na siya. Now, let's try another example. In text citations pa lang po tayo ha. Let's have another example. Another example is this one. A book written by James Lorenzo and Anthony Domingo entitled What is Game-Based Learning? In the year 2012 at Antipolo City with ACMA Publishing Company. And then you find this paragraph interesting. That's why you included it in your research. So instead of just writing this, let's make use of MS Word. So again, at the end, since it's parenthetical, references, choose APA, click Insert Citation, click Add New Source. Since it's offline, you'll manually type it. Authors, or we have two, Lorenzo, James, separated by semicolon since we have two, and then Domingo, what's the name? Domingo Anthony. Okay. So the title is, What is Game-Based Learning? In the year 2012, the city of Antipolo, is it the city? Oh, not sure. And then ACMA Publishing Company. Okay. So just click OK po if you're already done. Okay, so here it is, Lorenzo and Domingo 2012. Now, baka i-bash nyo ako, ano ba naman yan? Eh, di-type mo na lang, mas mabilis sana. This is what I mean a while ago when I say you can save energy later on. Let's say, tapos ka na sa research paper mo, nasa references ka na. Okay, so lalagay mo na dito sa end ng paper mo ang references. So this time, mas madali na siya. Why? Kasi, all you have to do is this. Click bibliography, click references, and tada! Okay. So everything you have put or typed a while ago, nandito na po siya. So hindi mo na kailangan pang i-type. So automatically, nasa system na siya ng MS Word. So here, you may edit. Kung Arial po, sabi Arial. Okay. It's 12, then 12, or 14. It depends. Okay, so as you can see po, ito na yung references, hindi ka na nahirapan. Kompleto na po, and most especially, tamang-tama ang pag-cite mo ng sources mo. Okay, so as you can see, the first line should be flashed to the left, pick this one, and the following line should be indented. So please take note of that. Okay, so that's it about offline citation using the MS Word. So let me go back to my presentation po. Okay, so let's now have the online way of citing our sources. Here are the steps. Open your internet browser. Number 2, type citethis4me.com. Open the online, number 3, open the online sources of data. Kung saan po kayo tumingin ng mga sources ninyo sa internet. And as much as possible po, we should only look for data sa mga trusted na mga websites like this, eric.ed.gov, proquest.com, academia.edu, and Google Scholar, etc. I'll give you one po. Please try to remember this. These websites are very helpful po. Okay, again, eric.ed.gov, proquest.com, and academia.edu. Okay, so I'm not going to discuss the steps. I'll demonstrate it na lang po. Okay, so let's try this. The first step is go to a browser, type citethis4me, citethis4me.com. Okay, here it is. And then click Add New Reference. Okay, since we are talking about online sources, we are going to choose website. Okay, so now it's ready para po i-paste na natin yung mga link. So now punta po tayo sa eric.ed.gov. Let's say your chosen topic is virtual learning. Okay, virtual learning. Oh, wait lang po, medyo nag-log. Okay, ito. Virtual learning. And upon browsing, you find this, wait, where is it? Okay. You find this very helpful for your research. So, let's click it. Okay, so upon reading, napansin mo or nalaman mo na this is very vital sa research mo. So in this case, kukunin mo siya as source or yes. So all you have to do is copy the link, Control C. Again, kapag ito na po yung napag-decide ninyo na source nyo, click its link. Nasa taas po. Ito pong highlighted ng blue. Control C, copy, and go back to cite this for me. And then Control V. And take note po, there were times na hindi ko po sure kung bakit it's maybe sa stability ng internet connection or what, hindi ko rin po sure. Pero minsan, meron yung time na manually mong i-type yung yung author, kasi minsan hindi na-recognize ng cite this for me. Pero minsan lang naman po yun. Tignan po natin kung ma-recognize nyo yun. Okay, so I'll click search. Okay, so hindi nyo na-recognize. Okay, so let's try to look for, since wala po dito yung first name and last name, let's go back to eric.ed.gov. Tingnan po natin ang name ng author. So the authors, we have two. The first name is Sumitra. Let's copy na lang po. Let's put Sumitra. And her last name is this one. So we have another author. Let's add another author. First name is Saran. And his last name is this one. It's hard to read. Okay. Last name. And let's try to look for hindi pa mga nabigyan ng information. Page title, the title of the web page. Let's just copy. Then paste. Name, website name, it's eric.gov. .ed. And then publisher, okay. Okay, so let's just click complete citation. Okay. So wait for a little while. So kapag click po natin yun kanina, ito na po siya. This one, yung highlighted po ng yellow. So ito na yung citation natin. Ngayon po, if you will use it, or if you will use it as in-text citation, you have to click this. So kapag in-text po, pag sa body. Kapag idalagay mo naman na po siya sa huli, sa references, ito po yung ika-copy natin. Copy bibliography citation. So I'll click this. Okay? So nakita nyo po, copied, sabi na. So let's go back to my, so for example, dito po, ilalagay ko na siya. So i-paste ko lang, Control V. So as you can see po, medyo hindi siya nakaayos kasi hindi indented yung yung remaining 2 lines. So we have to indent this kasi nga po, yun yung dapat na ayos. Okay. So indented na siya. Okay. So if it's Arial, then write Arial. It's 12. Okay. So that's it. Ito na po yung online citation using cite this for me. Let's have another example po para mas masundan natin. Again, go back to eric.ed.gov. And let's say your chosen topic is about the effect of COVID-19 in education. Okay, medyo naglalog po. Okay, so let's have this, for example. And you find this very helpful sa research mo, traumatic skepticism of COVID-19. So let's click. Okay, so you want to include this because you find it very vital, very important to your research. So now you have to copy the link. Control C. Go back to cite this for me, because of citethis4me.com. Since this is a new reference, click add new reference. Since this is from a website, click website. And then we have to paste the link. Click search. Okay po. Again, it wasn't recognized by cite this for me. Pero there were times po talaga na na-recognize. I'm not sure kung bakit minsan hindi nila na-recognize. So, since hindi po na-recognize, let's manually type the name. First name is Nidhi. Last name is Sharma. Okay. And the title is Thematic Skepticism. Website name is eric.ed.com. Okay, so if you're done already, click complete citation. Okay, citation successfully created. Hahanapin mo siya, yung naka-highlight po ng yellow, yun yung ginawa mo. So again, if you want copy in-text citation, click this. If you want copy bibliography citation, click this. So I'll click this, copy bibliography citation. It's already copied. I'll go back to my paper, and then, okay, so that's it. And then you just need to fix the indentation. Okay, so that's it po. This is about online. This is all about citation using the online platform, specifically the Cite This for me. So, yun po. Again, these are our two ways, the offline citation using the MS Word and the online citation using Cite This for me. So, to end it, let me have this sentence quotation. It is better to fail in originality than to succeed in imitation. There were times na nag-overlap ang work ng teachers. That's inevitable since we are teachers. Sometimes, kapit patalim, minsan kinakopy na lang natin lahat ng nasa books, ng nasa books without citing the resources without citing the sources, para lang matapos natin yung work natin, para makaambot sa deadline. But again, like what I shared, it is better to fail in originality than to succeed in imitation. And last but not the least, if you wish your merit to be known, acknowledge that of other people. Do unto others what you want others do unto you. Okay. Once again, thank you so much po. And I am very much happy to be able to share few of my knowledge. And if by chance may mga parts po na hindi naintindihan, kasi admittedly, mabilis ako magsalita, but I hope you understand it, you're free to message me po. And thank you so much for this opportunity. And yun po, I am very, very glad. Thank you. Sir Marfil.
And thank you very much, Ma'am Julian, for your comprehensive sharing of how to reference, put referencing in our research output. Okay, so if we have questions po regarding po sa presentation ni Ma'am Julian, kindly ask questions po dito po sa ating chat box. And by the way, doon po sa cluster training po natin bukas, ibibigay din po natin yung mga PowerPoint presentations po per cluster so that para doon sa mga hindi po nakapag-note ng maayos, you can still look into the PowerPoint presentations po ng ating mga presenters. Kung meron po tayong dapat na i-confirm or i-clarify, kung hindi po natin sila ma-reach, at least we have a copy of their PowerPoint presentation. Okay. So again, thank you very much, Ma'am Judy Ann Santiago, for
Thank you, sir.
putting in your expertise, to share your expertise sa ating pong mga participants. And before, okay, so wala pa naman pong mga questions. So bago natin i-entertain, if there are questions, allow me to share my screen first and award this certificate to our very intelligent na presenter this afternoon. So, as the Department of Education, SDO Santiago City awards this certificate of appreciation to Ms. Julian Santiago for her invaluable services rendered as resource speaker on reference in action research during the conduct of the Division Basic Education Research Conference or DBERC 2021. Given this 26th day of April 2021 at the Schools Division of Santiago City, signed Ma'am Sherry Sarason Ramos, EDD, CESO 5, Schools Division Superintendent. Pwede mo na siyang tawag dito, print screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Again, thank you very much, Ma'am Judian, and congratulations as well. I think
Thank you,
walang
sir.
masyadong mga tanong. Sabi ni Ma'am Hazel dito kanina, napakalinaw. Ma'am, kudos. Sabi ni Ma'am Hazel from Rosario National High School.
Thank you. Sir, nakalimutan ko sabihin, I would like to thank po Ma'am Danica Duksa kasi siya yung nagturo sa akin ng mga ibang pinresent ko. Thank you, Ma'am Danica, if you're watching.
If Ma'am Danica is watching, isa siya sa mga batikan dyan, pero medyo merong inasikasong equally important din si Ma'am Danica. So, yeah. So, thank you very much, Ma'am Danica, for your assistance din. Yeah, so again, these are words of appreciation coming from our participants. Thank you very much. Salamat po sa lahat ng mga nag-comment. And again, to Ma'am Judy Ann Santiago, thank you very much for extending your expertise and sharing your knowledge and technical know-how to all our participants. Salamat! See you later.
Yes, sir.
South Cluster, sa South Cluster. Ayan, so we're now down to the last but not the least speaker ng ating pong Division Basic Education Research Conference Day 1. So we are now finishing yung lahat po ng parts ng action research po natin and some yung basic research, okay? Dahil may pagkakatulad din siya ng mga parts. So she is really one of the first na mag-conduct ng research, pero yung unang research niya ay parang hindi po ata natapos, pero fortunately for her, on her second try, batch 4, nakatapos siya ng kanyang action research with flying colors dahil na-i-present niya ito sa Regional Basic Education Conference sa Kawayan City National High School noon. And she is now one of the reliable and intelligent one of the members of the Division Research Technical Working Group. And we are lucky to have her despite of her very, very busy schedule because she is a school head. Imagine po, isang school head po ay member po ng Division Research Technical Working Group. Without hesitations, siya po ay nag-paunlak sa aming pong panyaya to at least give her, share her knowledge and expertise sa pag-conduct ng action research para po sa mga teacher natin. I'm referring to no less than the school head of San Isidro Elementary School, our very intelligent and workaholic school head, Ma'am Maricris F. Sales. Hi, Ma'am Maricris.
Hello, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Ready na, no? Yes, ma'am.
I have the longest agony for this event.
Last but definitely not the least. Kaya, ma'am, I'm going to give you now the screen. Take it away.
Yes, sir. Okay, before I'll start, I would like to greet everyone who are tuned in with us this afternoon, especially to the great leaders of our schools division, headed by Dr. Cherry S. Ramos and Dr. Jonathan A. Fronda, brilliant school heads, and to you, my fellow research enthusiasts, good afternoon. Okay, let me share first my screen.
Sige ma'am. Ayan, okay. There you have it.
Nakikita na po ba, Sir Murph?
Loading ma'am. Hintayin lang po natin. Okay. Pwede na pong i-present ma'am.
So, now that you have almost completed to learn the main sections of your research proposal, you need to demonstrate that you can conduct your research proposal within a specific time frame. So, you need to give a sensible timeline indicating plans from commencement right through to submission. So, in the timetable, you need to indicate the major milestones with specific activities of your proposed research. Okay, so your timetable helps the assessors and evaluators to make critical decisions related to the feasibility of your proposed study. Now I'm going to share to you the topic assigned to me, which is work plan and timeline. So in making your plan, remember that it should be SMART. So review natin yung ating SMART. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. So since it is time-bound, kailangan nating ilagay lang kung ano yung mga kaya nating tapusin at a given span of time. So our timeline functions to, first, help assessors and evaluators to understand how will you conduct your study. So it is done by presenting your step-by-step activities. Another one is convince them that you have your detailed action plan. That's why for every activities, tasks are indicated in your work plan. Another is to convince them that you plan to finish your research within a specific time frame. So there is a specific schedule for everything. So this is shown on your timeline for every activities. And usually action research lasts for 6 months, as mentioned by Sir Marfil. And finally, clarify the main activities that you need to accomplish to complete your research. That's why you need to plot your plan of activities from pre-implementation to post-implementation. Okay, now let us look at an example of a timetable. Although the milestones and activities for research are almost similar, this example is not meant to be prescriptive. So, but rather just an exemplar. So you can develop your own, provided that the key elements are present. So the milestone and activities are the key elements. Let us review. For milestone 1, the activities here are planning and design. Okay, so we have here developing the tool, instrument, or interview questions, or observation guide. So it is the time where you're going to construct or adopt your pre-test questions or survey questionnaires. Another activity under this is seeking ethics approval, as discussed by Ma'am Florence a while ago. It includes the letter of permission and consent to parents, especially when your respondents are minor. For milestone number 2, data collection. So in here, the activities are piloting the tool, instrument, interview questions, observation guide. So pilot testing of the pre-test can be done into a specific group. It is one way to validate your pre-test. Another is conducting the survey or interview or observation. So it is now the time where you're going to conduct the pre-test or the time wherein you're going to float your questionnaire. And now for milestone number 3 is the data analysis. So we have here cleaning the data, transcribing, translating, interpreting the results. So it talks more on the treatment of data. And usually, we are presenting it in tables. And it is the time where you're going to use your statistical tools. Another is milestone number 4, completing the research paper. So in here, it includes the revising of the proposal. Kasi pag proposal pa lang siya, naka-present tense siya, particularly the research methodology, you're now going to revise it into past tense. Another is writing the results and discussion section. So writing the conclusion and implications, and finally reviewing, editing, and proofreading. For milestone number 5, the dissemination of final results. As discussed a while ago, it can be done during the in-service training or LAC session. It can be also during the PTA assembly. Yan. Moving on. So in our division, usually the work plan and timeline are already templated. And usually, it is presented in a spot rest format. So the activities were distributed into 3 phases, such as the pre-implementation, implementation, and post-implementation. Now, let's try to look at an actual example. So let us review the different activities and tasks that are conducted for every phase. So ito po yung ginamit ko noon sa aking action research. Kaya yung date niya hindi ko po pinalitan. So yun naman po, yung date naman po ninyo ay i-guide naman po kayo later ni Sir Marfil. Kung kailan yung start na ilalagay po natin sa ating timeline. So the content of our work plan and timeline are the following. So we have here the strategies, program, activities, all activities from pre to post, and the task, and also our resources. It can be material or financial, and then your timeline. So under strategies, I have here, improve the performance of kindergarten pupils in solving basic operations in addition through game-based activities and materials to enhance learning. So yan. And for the program, usually it is our proposed intervention. So I have here project game. And for the activities, unahin natin yung pre-implementation. For letter A, I have here manuscript writing. So ito yung gagawin natin nitong week na ito. So for the task, prepare the research proposal. And then, resources natin for material, bond paper, folder, and for financial, you include kung ano yung mga magagasto natin. And then, timeline. Usually, ang nilalagay natin dito ay yung date ng paggawa natin. Ito yun, yung week na ito, yung sa training. Yun yung start niya. And then, for letter B, developing the tool, instrument to be used. So, dito na pumapasok yung ating preparation of the pre-test questions. So, sabi nga kanina, you can either construct or adopt. Okay. Let's move on to letter C. Seek approval. So dito na pumapasok yung diniscuss po ni Ma'am Florence kanina, yung sa ethical issues. So it says here, submit the research proposal to the principal's office for critiquing and endorsement. Another is to give a letter to parents for their consent. Another is letter to respondents, and implement suggestion from Division Research Committee for approval. So ito na yung parang gagawin natin kapag tayo ay nag-breakout session for tomorrow. I-include na natin kung ano yung mga given suggestions ng ating mga panelists. So dyan na po siya papasok. And then, sa materials, ilagay ko po dito yung same din, bond paper, and then for financial expenses, yung sa travel expenses po. And then, let's move on to the implementation phase. So, dito sa letter A, implement the project game-based activities and materials to enhance learning to the respondents. First, we have to prepare kung ano yung mga kakailanganin natin dun sa intervention na ikakandak natin. So, it will depend on your intervention. Sa akin po kasi noon, ito po yung mga ginawa ko. So, prepare the worksheets, laminated flashcards, ICT materials which will be used in the conduct of the method, board games, play-based counting materials. Yan. And then, include all your materials and financial resources. And for your timeline, ang ilalagay po natin dito ay it will be based on how long are you going to implement the intervention. So, yun. So, dito na papasok yung weekly activities natin. So, from that date hanggang sa matapos po siya. Next. Letter B is for data collection. So, ito na po, conduct pretest. To know the performance of the learners before the implementation of your intervention. Ayan, so we have to conduct the pretest. Then include all your materials and financial resources. Another is implement the intervention. After conducting the pretest, we will now implement the intervention. So ito na yung weekly activities natin na ikakandak para sa ating mga respondents. Since alam na natin kung saan sila masasabi nating low performance, ganyan. So you will base on your methodologies and procedures for scheduled activities of your intervention. And then after implementing the intervention, pag natapos na lahat ng prepare nating mga activities by week, so we will now conduct our post-test to record the performance of the respondents after the implementation of the project game. So yan po. And now, ito na, data analysis na tayo. The analysis of data and interpretation of results. And then development of the full-blown manuscript. So dito sa data analysis, dito napapasok yung ating pag-seek ng tulong sa ating statistician for the computation using our statistical tools. And then finally, andito na tayo sa ating post-implementation phase for the completion of our action research. Ayan. So review and revise the proposal to fully implemented research. Gaya ng nabanggit ko kanina, from present tense to past tense. And then writing the result and discussion section. Dito na rin yung mga interpretation of tables. Ito na, yung result na. And then, conclusion and implications. So, include all your materials and financial resources, and then your timeline. Another task for this is the submit the full-blown research to the Division Research Committee. So, ito na yung magsasubmit tayo ng hardbound for final na ito. At ito na yung time na pipirma na sila sa ating endorsement, ganyan. And then acceptance. So another is submit completed research to the principal's office for endorsement and to the division office for acknowledgement. Yan. So include our materials and financial resources. And finally, ito na. Pag na-complete na natin, sabi nga, we need to disseminate the results. Para hindi lang sa atin makakatulong yung result. Pwedeng yung ibang school ay may the same problem din na nararanasan. Makakatulong ngayon yung ating study. So for our task under dissemination, first is we have to communicate the result of the research to the school head. Kaya ito rin, binibigyan natin siya ng kopya, yung school. And luckily or fortunately, nagagamit ito sa ating SBM. And then, another task is to recommend game as an intervention in all kindergarten classes. Kasi yung kinandak natin ay sa klase lang natin. This time, ipapagamit din natin siya sa ating co-grade level teacher. Ganun. And another one is to disseminate the result of the research to the division office and other elementary schools in the division. So it can be during the division in service training. Ganun. Or pwede rin na magre-request yung other schools, and then you're going to disseminate the result of your study to their school. Yeah. And here is some more specific plan for dissemination and utilization of your action research. So, under objectives, first, communicate the result of the research to the school head. How? So, it can be have a meeting with the school head. Your audience is school head. Resources is copy of the completed manuscript. Timeline, kung kailan natapos. O yung sa akin nun is May 2019. Another is to inform the school of the result of the study. So it can be during mid-year in-service training or first Parent Teachers Association, General Assembly. Pwede rin sa LAC session. Ang ginawa ko nun is nag-disseminate din ako through the classroom assembly namin, yung PTA conference. Kasi since pupils ko yung mga respondents ko, so kailangan din ng parents nila na malaman yung result ng study. So the audience will be the school head, teachers, parents, and other stakeholders. For the resources, copy of the completed manuscript, laptop, LCD projector. Or we can also include here yung nakatarpaulin na completed action research natin. Timeline, May 2019. Another is recommend project game as an intervention in all kindergarten classes. How? So we have a meeting with our co-kindergarten teacher. So ang audience natin dito ay kindergarten teachers. And then for the resources, copy of the intervention results of the conducted research. And for the timeline, May 2019. And finally, disseminate the result of the research to the division office and other elementary schools in the division. So for the strategy, submit copy of the completed research to the division office. So sa amin nun is, luckily, nakapag-disseminate kami ng result namin during the division in-service training. And then, nakapag-disseminate din kami sa iba't ibang schools ng bawat cluster ng division. And then, for our audience, we have here the Division Research Committee and Division Personnel. For the resources, copy of the completed manuscript, laptop, LCD projector. Ayan. And kung generous din kayo, pwede rin kayong mag-iwan sa kanila nung samples ng mga materials na ginamit natin sa ating intervention. And for the timeline, May 2019. So, yun po. And before I end, I want to leave these words to you. Remember that failing to plan is planning to fail, according to Alan Laken. That's why preparing your work plan and timeline as a part of your action research is very important because it will be your guide along the way. So by using your work plan and timeline, you can also track your progress kung nami-meet nyo ba lahat ng mga sinet nyo na activities. So that would be all. Thank you very much. Sana may naidagdag ako sa mga learning ninyo sa araw na ito.
Definitely meron. Napakarami, Ma'am Marie Chris. Really loaded po ang discussion ni Ma'am Marie Chris, especially it's very, very detailed po, comprehensive in nature yung kanyang discussion because inisa-isa po niya yung laman ng timelines and yung ating po mga cost estimates, which is really dapat lang because isa rin yan sa mga criteria kung saan tinitignan po yan ng ating Division Research Division, SDRC, Schools Division Research Committee. Chine-check po yan. And katulad ng sinabi ni Ma'am Marie Chris po kanina, it is where we monitor kung nasaan na po ang inyong implementation ng inyong research. Kaya napakahalaga po ng discussion ni Ma'am Marie Chris, and we are very, very thankful to have her sa DRTWG po as a school head and of course as one of the members ng ating Division Research Technical Working Group. Again, Ma'am Marie Chris, congratulations po and thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and expertise to all our teachers and non-teaching personnel sa SDO Santiago City. If you have questions po regarding po sa presentation ni Ma'am Marie Chris, please paki-post lang po sa ating comment section dyan po sa ating YouTube channel. And while you are doing that, let me share po the certificate of appreciation para po naman sa ating speaker na si Ma'am Marie Chris. Okay, First, Republic of the Philippines, Department of Education, Schools Division of Santiago City awards the Certificate of Appreciation to Ma'am Marie Chris F. Sales, PhD, for her invaluable services rendered as resource speaker on timelines and cost estimates in action research during the conduct of the Division Basic Education Research Conference, or DBERC, 2021, given this day, 26th day of April 2021 at Schools Division of Santiago City, signed Dr. Cherry Salarson Ramos, CESO 5, Schools Division Superintendent. Ma'am, paki-print screen na siya before ko stop sharing. Okay. And again, congratulations, ma'am, and thank you very much for your time and sharing your knowledge to all our teachers. May tanong pa po tayo. I think Walang tanong yung ating mga very, very detailed kasi yung presentation mo, ma'am. So, I think naunawaan ng bawat isa. Plus, yung ating mga PowerPoint naman po ay ibibigay naman po natin per class so that bawat isa po ay magkakaroon ng copy. Kaya ang mga message po nila dito ay puro mga words of appreciation and congratulatory messages for you because of your presentation, Ma'am Maricris, Dr. Maricris Sales, our very able school head po ng San Isidro Elementary. So, from Ma'am Annalisa Eugenio to Ma'am Jonaline Martin to Ma'am Sumawang to Ma'am G. Baltazar. Hi Ma'am G ng Divisoria, member din niya ng Technical Working Group. Ma'am Jean Kabutahe, and of course si Sir JR Mabalot na kabatch mo, ma'am, sa batch 4. And of course si Ma'am Victoria Escobar, alam ko batch 1 din to batch 5. Hindi daw nagkakamali, hindi lang natapos yung kanya.
Yes, sir.
But this time around, I know, matatapos niya yan to the aid of course, our DRTWG sa ating pumatas. And again, Ma'am Maricris, maraming salamat po on behalf of the Schools Division of Santiago City through our Schools Division Superintendent, Ma'am Cherry Salarson Ramos, and of course, our Chairman for the SDRC, Dr. Jonathan A. Fronda, our ASDS. We extend our sincerest appreciation and gratitude po for sharing your knowledge and expertise to all our teachers, especially on the subject matter that you have shared this afternoon. Thank you, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you also, sir, for the opportunity.
Yes, ma'am. And so, again, I think that ends and concludes lahat po ng ating mga sessions for this afternoon. It's already 4:17. Before I allow you to leave po, may mga few reminders lang po tayo for tomorrow. Tomorrow po, we will be having the morning session po. So attend muna po tayo ng morning session. That is very important dahil i-discuss po yung ating familiarization on the attachments dahil medyo kailangan po natin i-memorize yung mga dapat po natin i-attach. So you have to be there. We have to be there for us to be familiarized with the attachments na dapat po natin ilagay sa proposal at ano yung mga dapat natin ilagay sa completed research. Plus, tomorrow, for our dear school heads and teaching and non-teaching personnel din po, we shall be having our external resource speaker coming from the Ifugao State University. I know she is not tawag dito, hindi na siya bago sa atin because she worked with us, especially in the Department of Education, SDO Santiago City, in the previous years. But now, she transferred lang sa ibang bakod sa Ifugao State University. But she used to teach here in SDO Santiago City. And we will have her as our first external resource speaker for tomorrow po yun ng morning. So yun po yung mga dapat po nating abangan. Plus, the in-charge for tomorrow po ay walang iba kundi ang ating secondary schools headed by our supervisors po na sila Sir Carlos Mateo and Dr. Benedict Santiago with the coordinatorship po ni Ma'am Florence Senoves for our management of learning. So yun po yung announcement natin for the morning. In the afternoon po, please take note, in the afternoon, this is very important, we will have the breakout session na po natin yun. Breakout session in the sense that you will be meeting with your coordinator na po, per cluster na po tayo, hindi na po division-wide. So, lahat po ng mga taga-South Cluster, magsasama-sama po kayo sa isang link. Yung link po ay ipoprovide namin. All you have to do is to input po yung Google Meet na yun, number. And then, i-assist na po tayo ng ating mga DRTWG per cluster. At doon na po tayo pwedeng magtanong because kukunti na lang po yung ating mga participants. So, mahahati po tayo sa 5. Okay, and then from there, umpisahan na po nating mag-craft. Ipo-provide na po sa inyo yung mga soft copies po ng ating mga gagamitin po na mga templates. They will be provided by our coordinators fresh from our Google Drive. Tapos ipo-provide po nila sa inyo, and then from there, tuturo na po nila, mag-uumpisa na po tayo sa write shop, and on the third day, full day po yun na free. Ibig sabihin, para po yun sa writing, technical assistance, and quality assurance. And then, mag-i-schedule po ang inyong coordinator ng inyo pong presentation, both for the completed and the proposal. And then from there, pipili po ang DRPWG plus the supervisors po na in charge ng 5 participants per category ng lalaban para sa Thursday kung saan magpe-present na po sila sa panel po natin with our SDS, ASDS, the rest of the supervisors, our external panelists from our partners from the academe, higher education. So yun po yung pinaka highlight po noong Thursday activity po natin. On a Friday, yun na po yung ating awarding ceremony. Well, we choose who will represent our SDO Santiago City to the Regional Basic Education Conference. Ay ngayon, ang tawag na po ay Regional Planning Conference, RPC 2021. So yun po yung mga dapat po nating abangan. And then please contact po ang ating mga coordinators. They have their own GC na po. As of now, as I speak, meron po silang mga GC na po na ginagamit because lahat po technically ng mga binababa po na mga information are shared dun sa GC na yun. So kung kilala nyo na po sila Ma'am Marivic, yung mga sinabi ko po kanina, please contact them. They are reachable naman po. And you can ask them for you to be included. And then lastly po, with regard po sa atin pong registration, naka-open pa po siya. This is the final call. Pag dumating po ang 5 p.m., we're gonna close po yung ating pong registration. And then kung sino lang po yung mga naka-register, sila lang po yung masasendan ng attendance. And from there, hanggang day 5, matapos po natin yung 5 araw na yun, at sila lang po yung mabibigay ng ating 5-day certificate from the division office. Of course, we are going to give you a virtual soft copy plus the hard copy po na pwede pong i-retrieve sa division office once na na-lift na po yung mga restrictions natin on MECQ. So those po are the important announcements na meron po tayo. If you have your queries po sa sa cluster po ninyo, don't hesitate to ask our DRTWG. They are more than willing to help you po, especially on matters of constructing or even completing your action research. On Wednesday will be our very tawag nito, very packed na day because that is for our dear school heads and non-teaching personnel naman po. They're going to be taught how to complete or start their basic research po. So those are the important announcements that we should know. Again, congratulations po sa lahat and for those who participated sa atin pong whole day na activity na ito, which will run hanggang April 30. Maraming salamat po. Mula po sa pamunuan ng SDO Santiago City through our Schools Division Superintendent Ma'am Cherry Salarzon Ramos and of course our ESPS Sir Jonathan Fronda. Kami po ay nagpapasalamat ng buong puso sa inyong pagsuporta sa gawain ito kung saan binabandera po natin ang pananaliksik dahil kailangan po natin ito sa bagong normal sa edukasyon. Muli po, ako po ang inyong Division Research Focal Person, sampu po ng Schools Division Research Technical Working Group at Division Research Committee. Maraming salamat po at see you po tomorrow at 8 in the morning. God bless po and stay safe to one and all. Salamat po and bye.